Once again, Columbus says we have to mask up. Joining us on Columbus on the Record this week, Jesse Balmert, State House reporter for the Cincinnati Enquirer, Derek Clay, Democratic strategist, and Shannon Jones, former state legislator and president of Groundwork Ohio. Even though the state legislature passed a law banning governments from imposing health orders, the city of Columbus is ordering everyone to wear a face mask in public places. It applies to those who have gotten the COVID vaccine and those who have not. With COVID cases rising and hospitals filling up, Columbus Mayor Andrew Ginther decided to act, saying the mask mandate is not about shutting down or giving up.
Regardless of your political persuasion, your beliefs in the vaccine, all of us share the same three principles. Keep our economy open, our schools open, and let our healthcare professionals do their jobs.
The spread map is not getting any less red. The CDC says every county in Ohio has a high rate of COVID spread. Ohio is seeing about 6,000 new cases a day. Hospitalization rates are up, and on average, 18 Ohioans die each day from COVID-19. Jesse Balmert, state law seems pretty clear. No mandates, no health orders by governments, but yet the city of Columbus kind of went around it. How'd they do it?
Well, I think the law that the Ohio legislature passed, Senate Bill 22, focused on local health departments. And so the city is trying to go around that by doing it itself, not through the health department. I think you'll see this go to a lawsuit situation. Someone will try to figure it out. I also see the legislature going back and clarifying that mayors can't do this on their own. Clearly, the intention of the GOP-controlled legislature was to prevent cities from putting in these types of requirements, but I think Mayor Ginther is trying to go about it in a unique way.
Yeah, oddly enough, in Columbus, the police will not be enforcing it. It will be the health department that will be enforcing this based on complaints, so the health department will play a role. And also Athens has done this, Yellow Springs, and Bexley and Whitehall have joined Columbus in issuing mask mandates. Derek Clay, is it a good idea, do you think, to issue this mask mandate?
I don't think we have a choice, Mike. I mean, COVID rates have been going up steadily since the early summer, and now we're in a situation where we have to revert back to masks. No one wants another shutdown. This state or this nation can't afford to have another shutdown. So the mayor felt it appropriate to do everything that he could do within his power to try to keep all of our residents in the city safe. You know, the bottom line is there's a vaccine out there for COVID-19. People have not chosen to, the people that have chosen not to take the vaccine has put every other person that has chosen to take the vaccine, businesses, schools alike, in jeopardy and in risk. So what else was he supposed to do?
Shannon Jones, is this good or bad for businesses? I argue that it might be good for businesses because now they can say you have to wear a mask because the mayor said so, but it would be bad for businesses in that they have to now be the enforcers of this mask mandate. What do you think?
So I think it's getting really, really hard to tell the difference any longer. I mean, these issues have become so political, we're really splitting hairs because on one hand, you're right, businesses are saying, you know, at least the pressure's off me and all I need to now do is require people to wear the masks. But there are a substantial number of people who are refusing to do it, and it puts the pressure right back on the local businesses to be in the role of having to enforce it. And so I don't think it makes the issue go away. I think instead it really underscores just how deeply divided we are on these issues that are really trying to protect the public health.
Jesse Balmert, cases are on the rise in Columbus, 37% increase in COVID cases just in the past week, which is the reason why the mayor issued the mask mandate. So we're about where we were last spring. Governor DeWine was on TV twice a week last spring. We don't see him as often these days. What's going on there?
Yeah, I think the governor has gotten to a place where he is recommending people kind of quote unquote do the right thing, to wear masks if they're not vaccinated, to obtain the vaccine, which we know is effective against COVID-19. So that has been his approach. I think that is in part because there is this frustration and just desire to be done with this pandemic from a large number of Ohioans. I also think politically it is hard to impose a mask mandate or a vaccine requirement or any other sort of requirement.
Shannon Jones, do you think the governor's lower profile in the past month or so is because he's a month or so closer to the GOP primary for governor next spring?
Not at all, really. I mean, if anything, whether you agree with the governor or disagree with the governor on this or any other issue, that's just never been the way he's operated. And he has a really long history in this state of good election years, bad election years, and just doing what he thinks is right. In this instance, I think he's made the calculation that continuing to proceed down this route where there's been constant angst with the legislature and others is really now a distraction. And I think this is a genuine pivot to really try a different kind of soft sell strategy. Now, people can talk about whether or not this will be successful or is successful, but I think it's about genuinely wanting to encourage people to get vaccinated that he shifted strategies.
But it really hasn't worked, Shen. I mean, we're still below 50% total population vaccinated. Our cases are still going up. We're 38th in the country, I think, as far as vaccines go. He's been preaching the message: wear a mask, get vaccinated, personal responsibility, but we're at best treading water on vaccinations and mask wearing. Should he try a different, tougher tactic?
I mean, there's no question that there's really a struggle here. But I think, when we can talk about having a vaccination mandate, I mean, that may be a different issue on whether or not the governor has the authority to do it. But what is the point of having mask mandates when people aren't following them? And so, we've reached the point here in this conversation that it doesn't matter what the governor or the government says. There is a critical mass of people who are going to choose not to follow it.
Derek, the president this week ordered companies of 100 people or more to get their employees vaccinated. And if they don't get vaccinated, they got to get tested at least once a week. That's a pretty bold step. Is that an overreach by the government to say, you got to order your employees to get a medicine?
Not at all. I mean, as I said before, this country cannot afford another shutdown. We had a shutdown last year because COVID was new to everyone. We didn't know what to expect, but we are seeing evidence today of how crippling that shutdown was. We can't even find workers for our restaurants. The hotel industry has lost 50% of their workforce. So we can't afford another shutdown. So the president is being proactive and saying to companies that have 100 employees or more that, yes, you have to get your employees vaccinated, because he is taking the responsible road for everyone that has gotten vaccinated, and the folks that have not gotten vaccinated, it's putting everyone else and this country at risk.
Jesse Balmert, one more question on this topic, then we'll move on. Governor DeWine commented today about the Biden vaccine mandate. He said it was a mistake. So he came out somewhat opposed to the mandate, the vaccine mandate.
Yeah, I think the governor is going to say that this is a problem and that this is a mistake. He hasn't gone as far as other Republican governors have to file lawsuits against the federal government or the president. So it'll be interesting to see if he moves in that direction or continues with this kind of admonition.
Again, the governor just continuing to try to ride that fence to stay on the conservative side but not go too far like other governors like Ron DeSantis in Florida has gone. Anyway, 6 days before the deadline to approve them, Republican leaders at the State House this week presented their draft State House and State Senate legislative maps. To no one's surprise, the GOP maps favor the GOP. Early analysis of the maps show that Republicans would hold on to their supermajorities in both chambers. That is, they would hold on to roughly 2/3 of the seats in each chamber, even though Republicans do not hold the same advantage among actual voters. Shannon Jones, it's in the Constitution, the agreement that was approved to reform this process a couple of years ago, that the maps had to reflect the basic political makeup of the state. And the makeup of the state is 55-45 Republican right now. Is this map constitutional, do you think?
Listen, we're just at the very beginning, really, of the process, of the most political process of all political processes that exist. And so, both parties are, taking their posture, and I think it's still too soon to tell. I mean, it's the folks who are on the commission itself are the ones who, have a vested interest in the individual districts. And so, I think it's just way too soon to be talking about constitutionality because it's just the very beginning.
Derek Clay, this is a, quote, draft map, and they've got, 6 days, according to the law, to figure it out and change it. How much is it going to have to change for Democrats on the commission to agree to it?
Well, it is a draft map, but it is a very poorly drawn draft map. When you look at the map that the Republicans put out that has them holding 67 seats of 99 seats and then 25 seats of 33 seats in the Senate is not very fair. It doesn't have good, fair representation when you look at the map. Furthermore, if you really want to have a fair map, then you would have a map where Democrats could have at least 44 seats, or the opportunity to have at least 44 seats in the House and 14 seats in the Senate. Currently the Senate has 8 members of the Democratic caucus out of 33. You tell me how that's fair. So as Shannon has said previously, we are in the beginning of the process. They passed a draft map, so there's going to be hearings around the state, and then the commissioner is going to convene next week on that map. And I know that the staffs of the commission are working hard this weekend to try to see if they can make some changes to the map that the GOP put out this week.
Derek, do you know if Democrats are working with Republicans in the same room, the staffs?
I don't know if they're working in the same room. That was what was at the hearing. That's what the commission made everyone believe, that they were going to try to come together and work on these maps. But to be quite honest, they're probably working in their own silos and exchanging some emails.
Yeah. Jesse Balmer, what is next? There are hearings coming up. First one is Sunday, from what I understand. What are the chances this map does change quite a bit from the draft that we saw unveiled this week?
Well, so there's a vested interest for there to be a compromise on this, because if the 2 Democrats on this 7-member commission approve of the map, then it lasts for 10 years. Whereas if you can't get both Democrats on board, then it's only going to last for 4 years. And that's a problem because representatives like to know which districts they're running in. It gets to be, just a lot up in the air if you can't get to that compromise. So there's a reason to get to that. Also, I think there's a threat of lawsuits if you can't get to a map that passes constitutional muster. I think there's going to be a lot of conversations about this representation and whether it's proportional to the statewide vote average and whether that is a requirement that they look at it in the Ohio Constitution or more of a suggestion, as some of the Republican leaders are suggesting.
Former State Senator Shannon Jones, I'll ask you again, is it better for a state senator to have a very secure seat for 4 years or a less secure seat for 10 years?
Look, I don't know. I always came from a really strong district, and so there's no real way to divide it up to make it competitive just based on the district that I came from.
Yeah.
And I just think that people, Democrat, Republican, because I think the same political calculation applies to the Democrats, is they want to have the security of their own election moving forward. And I think they're less concerned in a term limited environment of that, whether that's 4 years or whether that's 10 years. I think they're going to take a bird in the hand. And that's really where the pressure is going to be. The pressure is going to be, people want the security. I think that's a natural instinct, and no party's immune to that.
Derek, there was some eyebrows raised when the legislative aide for the Republican caucus said that these maps did not take into effect racial issues, racial populations, minority districts, and minority representation. It surprised a lot of people. I know it surprised you. Do you think the map will, the next draft will take that into account more than this one does?
I think that it will. I'm not sure why that particular aide said that in a public setting, and also threw his bosses under the bus and said that they instructed him to do that. So I'm hoping that they will get to a point where they are considering racial data into this, so that some minority opportunity districts are within the seat count that is put forth by the Republicans.
Okay, our next topic. The U.S. Justice Department has accepted Mayor Ginther's request to review the Columbus Division of Police. Ginther made the request in April after 2 fatal police shootings of black residents by white officers. A federal judge was also critical of police practices during last year's racial justice protests, and the city's new police chief welcomes the Justice Department's involvement.
This is not something we can do alone. We have to be open to the possibility that we don't have all the answers. We must be ready to accept the feedback of experts and our residents. This is how we put together the best system we can, not just for short-term success, but for sustainable success.
Derek Clay, the city's had outside folks look at the Division of Police fairly recently. The Glenn College of Public Affairs at Ohio State, they had their private consultant look at it. How is this review by an outside agency, given the Justice Department, going to be any different?
Well, the Justice Department is going to come in without, blinders on. I mean, they're going to be looking at the patterns and policies of the police department. They're going to be looking at, the recent police-involved shootings and what has led to that. So there's a number of things in terms of, in especially resources. The Department of Justice is going to have the resources to do the proper type of evaluation of the department. So with the new police chief, Elaine Bryant, she's new, so she has nothing to lose in terms of the Department of Justice coming in and really opening the book of the Columbus Division of Police to see how those policies and patterns can be improved upon in the future.
Derek, some advocates, civil rights advocates, the attorney for some of the victims of the police use of force, say this isn't strong enough, that they wanted to see more of a legal action, perhaps forcing a consent decree. Was that warranted in this case, do you think, or is the review good enough for now?
Well, I mean, we may find that it may come to that. But I think that the city wants the Department of Justice to come in, review its practices and its policies so that they can know what next steps they need to take in order to make this a better department for our city.
Shannon Jones, you're in Southwest Ohio, so you're not directly involved or even living in the city of Columbus at this point. But speaking broadly, what does it do to an agency when outside folks come in and review it after the agency has had trouble? Does it help the agency? Does it cast a cloud over it and then just keeps it from being reformed? What do you think of all this?
Well, I think what's really interesting about this is that you have the mayor and the police chief united behind a common purpose of wanting to bring forward some transparency and conversation with the community and all parties to ensure policing moving forward. And so, I think it depends on the circumstances, but given Columbus's circumstances where the two leaders are at least unified at the front end of the process, I think can set the stage for all parties to be feeling as if they're being heard and valued in the conversation. So perhaps some useful recommendations or counsel can be had moving forward. So I think that's a plus for Columbus.
Yeah, even the police union had, sort of encouraging words saying we're willing to work with the Justice Department and try to find solutions. So all the right notes were sung this past week. We'll see what happens in the months ahead. Our last topic, advocates for and against abortion rights are keeping a close eye on states with Republican leadership, states like Ohio. They want to see what, if anything, those states do in response to Texas's new abortion law. The Texas law bans most abortions after 6 weeks. It relies on private citizens to enforce it through civil suits. It doesn't rely on the government to enforce it. The Supreme Court took that into consideration and refused to put a hold on the Texas law. Ohio does have a similar law, so-called heartbeat law, but federal courts have put a hold on that law because it does rely on the government. Jesse Balmert, is there any talk at the State House of a Texas-style abortion law here in Ohio?
So I think some Republican lawmakers are taking a look at it because of the novel enforcement kind of approach and seeing if that's something that would work in Ohio. To your point, we have passed the so-called heartbeat bill that is on hold in federal court. So we have passed similar legislation, but not with that enforcement mechanism. But I also think that a lot of eyes are on the U.S. Supreme Court in this case out of Mississippi, which could determine viability for a lot of different states. So I wouldn't be surprised if they just wait for that judicial decision as well.
Shannon Jones, is that the wise move? Wait till the Mississippi case, which really is more directly related to the Ohio law, and also most observers think is the key case in the next year or so to perhaps settle this or do something of substance to the Roe versus Wade and to abortion in America?
For sure. I mean, for those folks who've been longtime advocates for overturning Roe, I think keeping your eye on the prize is a really smart strategy. Having said that, though, Ohio legislators have been really aggressive on this point and have really been kind of on the forefront of advancing legislation to really challenge these issues. And so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, but certainly the big case is the one in Mississippi.
Derek Clay, what are abortion rights supporters to do? Are they just to sort of wait? I know there's some talk of passing trigger laws where if Roe gets overturned, then automatically abortion is banned in Ohio. Is that a thing that abortion rights supporters should be mobilizing against at this point?
Well, yeah, you're seeing a bunch of these laws pop up around the country because there has been no law to overturn Roe v. Wade. So, I think everyone is just taking a step back, trying to see what this court case in Missouri is going to do, and develop a strategy from there.
Jesse Balmert, we've had ballot fights over everything: casinos, marijuana, voting, union rights. Is there any talk of a group going to the ballot, or are they just, again, waiting for the court to decide and then decide what to do?
Yeah, I have not heard of anyone going to the ballot yet. There's a lot of topics that are kind of moving in that direction, including marijuana legalization, but not abortion rights issues.
Shannon, is that what it's going to take to settle this issue? If the Supreme Court does overturn Roe or put serious limits on it, it will get to the ballot, and that could be the decider?
I don't know. I mean, I actually think that keeping our eye on this Mississippi case could, is a real game changer. And for folks who've been working to challenge the precedent and to really, strike at the heart of viability, I think that, they've waited a long time to get a court to be able to do this.
Yeah.
And so whether or not there's incentive around going to the voters directly, I think remains to be seen.
We just have about a minute left, so we'll have to make this quick, but our off-the-record comment time is up. Shannon, you go first.
Feds are about to spend $450 billion in child care and preschool, coupled with the funds that have gone directly to the state. The state has an opportunity to really address the child care challenges and get people back to work and support families.
Derek, quick comment.
Moment of silence for the 20th anniversary of 9/11 to the victims and the family.
Yeah, the flags we see at the State House, the thousands of flags, over 2,000 flags is amazing. Jesse Balmert, your final thought.
This comes from outside of Ohio, but a congresswoman issued a statement denying responsibility for letting loose 6 zebras that have been on the loose in the DC suburbs. So at least you don't have that problem here.
Yes, we don't have that problem, so thank goodness for that. That is Columbus on the Record for this week. Check us out online, wosu.org/COTR, also on Facebook and Twitter and all that good stuff. For our panel, for our crew, and for our studio cricket who's looking for a way outside, I'm Mike Thompson. Have a good week.